All right. Hey, what's going on, Freedomers? Okay, so uh, eight, eight, um, eight things. Well, 10 things really that for the eighth house are borrowing resources. Um, so one, you have to separate the opportunity from the person that gave you the opportunity. You have to separate when you're in an eighth house situation, the person for the person who gave it to you and the opportunity. If you don't, you can be easily abused or confused. Because if the person does not match the greatness of the opportunity, you'll fuck it up, right? So what that means is, let's say you're in a room like myself, perfectly great opportunity to save your money, make money, become and do everything you need to do on the low. But let's say your landlord is not, let's say not to say the greatest person, but let's not say he's foul, but let's say there's not a needed relationship with him. And he has slightly tyrannical, or she has slightly tyrannical ways, or they're not putting you on to get bigger opportunity, right? So if let's say the person that you're dealing with is not the greatest person, but the opportunity is still golden. So you want to separate them so you don't get abused or confused. Because when you merge them and you don't put a boundary between these two, you'll and it can happen. You'll waste the opportunity, or you'll stay longer in a toxic situation. Because when you add both a toxic person to a great opportunity, the situation in general becomes toxic, and that's a fact. When you mix a great person with a bad opportunity, or with a decent opportunity, the opportunity can become extremely great because they make something out of nothing, right? So when you're talking to a person who isn't the greatest person, but the opportunity is golden, that means you're gonna go down to what I said here. You have to number 7. You have to be time sensitive. So, meaning in short, you have to say that you have to give yourself a date on when it's time to go, and you have to put pressure on yourself to gain all that you can. Because again, you're borrowing. This is not yours, right? If you don't beat B, 1B, if you have a power struggle, and this is a challenging one when the person is not that great or flexible or whatever. When you have a power struggle, you need to instead of focusing on the need, and I have a problem with this because I can be very controlling. Instead of focusing on the need to control them, change you. Instead of focusing on the need or the want to change them, focus on the need to change you. On the want to change. Instead of focusing on the want to change them, focus on the need to change you. Because if you change you, the opportunity will transform you, and whatever the person does won't really bother you as much because you're really becoming for real. 2, be secretive because you're borrowing. And if the person is not that great, you need to be secretive. I say be secretive in general. But because if they're not freely putting you on, and I mean put it like this. When they putting you on, they're not stealing from you. They're not taking your ideas. They're not lying. They're not misinforming you. They're really putting you on game. Right? So when you meet that, right? When you meet a person, because that's not every day. right? Because there'll be a person who puts you on, but because you're a great creative person, they steal your ideas and they run with it, right? Especially if they're in a better financial predicament than you are. So that's why I say be secretive in general, because you don't know them, right? And sometimes in the eighth house situation, you don't need to know them. That's something I had to learn the hard way. When you're in an eighth house situation, you don't need to know the person who gave it to you, to the extent of that you're maximizing on the opportunity. If you make it too much about them, that's a problem, because it's the opportunity that you, eighth house is the house of transformation. So the goal is to transform. The goal is not to fix them, because you don't transform because you're trying to change them. You get what I mean? So because you're not becoming more by trying to transform them, you have to get to know them on a minimal basis, or you get to know their human nature, meaning you know how to deal with them in the chance of this opportunity. And that's it. And that's what I would say, you only need to know them based on how the opportunity is presented. And that's it. And because I like integrity, it does fuck with me a lot. So when I'm dealing with a bad person, but I'm learning to let go of, like I said here, said the need to change you instead of the want to change them. So 3, borrow from other people's resources with integrity. So while you have this opportunity, you may get presented with other people's resources that can help you with that opportunity. That if you borrow with integrity, it can help you, get out of this opportunity and go to the next thing. 4, learn the difference between trust and allegiance. So trust is a firm belief in, and these are key words, reliability, truth, ability, or strength in something and someone. I say all of these things apply. I don't believe some of them. When you trust somebody, that means they're reliable, they're telling you the truth, you can depend on their abilities and or their strength in something or someone. You have a firm belief. When you have an allegiance to somebody, it is a devotion or loyalty to a person, group, or cause. I like to say allegiance. I don't really like this. I say it's a loyalty to a cause. Usually when you're in the eighth house situation, you are a loyalty to a person. But again, remember I talked about with person up here. The person is not really gonna, I guess, unless they're a crucial part of the transformation, yeah. But I think you have to detach from them, and it's more of a devotion to a cause more than it is anything else. When you have somebody's allegiance, it's more like you share the same cause and desire. And that's what you need to focus on, not the firm belief in their truth, reliability, and strength. And because the eighth house is the house of secrets, I would say when you're borrowing from somebody, you need to double check their word, double research what they say, double look at what they're doing. Don't just take it for face value, because they're not like Taurus, where Tauruses are more prone to, and not always, but they're more prone to get to have. Tauruses are more prone to be on a position where what you see is what you get. You're not, and no more, no less. Now, sometimes that's a double flag as well, but in comparison to Scorpio, it's not. Scorpios, almost 60 to 80% of the time, what you see is not what you get. So that's why I said it's an allegiance to a cause or a desire. It's not necessarily the person, because the person, due to this eighth house situation, can change. which is a good or bad thing in your based on your predicament. 5, become obsessed with the opportunity, meaning it's the opportunity that's going to get you to change. And you have to be very clear about what the opportunity is. So you can get what you, and here's a key word, you get what you need and keep it the fuck pushing. Because if you stay too much in this 8th house situation sometimes, it won't serve you because you're not focusing on what you need. 8, take action now. Because this 8th house is Scorpio ruled by Mars, Mars is a now-ish planet. It's not a tomorrow planet. Even Scorpio, there's not a, if they're waiting, it's on purpose. It's like it has a plan to it. But for the most part, it's a now, like today, like aggressive, this motherfucking minute planet. 8 is get ahead and plan and prepare for the things you see in the dark. So what that means is because depending on because we're talking about Scorpio right now, often you see things that are coming that are not real yet. Often, excuse me. Often you see things in the shadows that have not come to pass yet, and you have to plan and prepare for it. And if you don't, because you know it's coming. If you don't, you'll mess up taking action now. You'll have to take action later, and that kind of fucks with the Mars's energy of not being in the now. Or when you're in the now, you have to do so much in the now that you kind of feel overwhelmed to some extent. Get ahead, meaning literally get ahead of the crowd. And sometimes if that means you're taking a detour and you're not fucking with them at all to get ahead, you do that. 10, value versus appreciation or appreciate. So value from an 8th house perspective is when you're a core essential to, because remember, it's all other people's resources, or it's a we consciousness. So in value or appreciation in 8th house, it's more about a we consciousness, not a me consciousness. So value in the we consciousness is is about you're a core essential to the movement, to the we. Meaning, if you left that core essential, they would take a loss, and they have to actually they would actually have to prepare for your exit. It's not something you can abruptly just say "fuck you, I'm out," and you can't do that because it would fuck everything up, and to some extent fuck you over too. When you're in an appreciation zone, when it comes to we consciousness, it's more about you're a season, a time zone, or a moment, or a time and a moment. You're not forever, and you don't matter that much. If you were replaced or if you left, it would make a huge difference. Like shit would stop. When you're in a value position when it comes to we, if you subtract yourself, shit stops. When you're appreciated, it's like shit doesn't stop. It may slow down a little bit, and I say a little bit, and sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes if you're in an appreciative zone, this shit may speed up because you left. You feel me? So and I've been in that position too, where I left and I appreciate the person was of an appreciatance, because here's how you know somebody's of appreciation in your life. When they leave your life, nothing really, when you look at the fundamentals of your togetherness, nothing really changed. You may have slowed down, you may have even taken a step back, but it's not an extreme change, oh my God, not say we're nothing without you, but it's wow, you have to take a real life check with yourself and like, damn, I fucked up. It's more like it's a reflection and a lesson. Keep it pushing immediately. But yeah, comment yes below for your manifestation guide. Comment yes below for your manifestation guide. Peace.